Welcome on this. That's my dog. Hey, Caleb. Making some noise over there. Today is Monday, March 4th, 2024, and it is now 8:50 p.m. All right. We pull up my other. I think that was the thumbnail. Anyway, tonight, welcome. We are going to go over the 12. Well, I'll just show you. I won't say it. This is the article that I'm going to be reading from. Well, yeah, I will say it when it comes up here. I'll read what it says. And this is the article we're going to be going over. There it is. God's 12 biggest dick moves in the Old Testament. Yes, we're going to go over that. We're going to go over that tonight. And actually, I could think of more than just these 12. I could think of more than just these 12. But anyway, we're going to go with this article tonight. It's going to give us 12 not so flattering stories of God, which, you know, you can tell yourself it's all the reasons why it's not a problem, but it is. Anyway, so welcome. I'm going to untether my phone here. And let's see here. Hope everybody had a nice Monday. I had a great Monday. A great Monday. Well, I slept in late. I didn't really want to sleep in, but I slept in late. I guess that's all right. And then, anyway, other than that, yeah, everything went great. I have, in the winter, I sleep in a lot, and I don't want to sleep in right now because it's not even cold out. So, let me pull this down there. All right. So yeah, we are having great weather still. It was an awesome day. I did some stuff outside. Now I had I had set up a new camera the other day, outside surveillance camera. And I hadn't quite tagged the I'm going to bury some of the cable, but for now I kind of was tagging it up, you know what I mean? Up out of the way. And I went out to just do some a little bit of, it's been up a few days, a new one. I went out to just do a fine tuning, turn it just a little bit. And here comes Lazarus, the German Shepherd, catches the cable, gets all tangled up in it, panics, and takes off and rips the thing right off of the house and breaks the cable and destroyed it. And I had to bring it in the house and fix it. And I can't even believe I fixed it, but I fixed it. Anyway, can't even believe it worked. I didn't think it was going to work, but it worked. And so that was a pain in the butt. Man, was I mad. So annoying. Other than that, it was pretty good day. Then things started going good. Then things got better and better and better. Anyway. Yeah, just doing stuff outside, doing spring stuff. But it was cold today. It was actually, it was little bitter cold today. It looked warmer than it was. We went outside, it was a little chilly, but anyway, good fun day. Got a lot of fresh air. Got some stuff done. I was gonna go do something out in the barn, and I went out there, and I'm like, dang, it's cold out here. maybe tomorrow. Anyway, but good day. Good day working outside and a little bit working inside. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna look at the 12, uh, some of the worst story. I just titled it "Worst Stories in the Old Testament." God's loving wrath. Maybe I should have titled it that. God's loving wrath. Let's see what else we got. When God gets angry. Yeah, there you go. When God gets angry. Yeah. You don't want to be around when he gets angry. That's right. People get hurt. Which is kind of strange to be a loving father and unleash your wrath on everybody when you get mad. What happened to the long-suffering patient and all that stuff? Forgiving. Anyway. So, anything else? I don't know of anything. I think it was just a good Monday. I hope it was a good Monday for everybody. I don't have any news outlets, so I don't know if anything big happened over the last few days. Kind of been out of the loop doing stuff. Oh man, I can't. Oh, and I planted. That's right. I planted a tray of seeds today. Might be a little early, but it's all right. I'll start them and put them on my porch. Get them going. But yeah, I started 36 seedlings today. Different vegetables, tomatoes, beans, peas, carrots, a little bit of everything. So that's fun. Anyway, just a great day. I love when it's nice outside. I usually am outside till it gets dark up. Oh, and speaking of which, we're gonna turn our clocks forward this Saturday night. We're gonna spring forward. So now it's gonna be light out till 7 o'clock. I love that, especially if I go out of town. It's hard to get back before it gets dark out. I gotta get home before it gets dark out because you can't see out here at all. It's so pitch black. And so I make it a rule to be home before dark. Because, yeah, I park out in my pole barn. I can't even see. I like to get some yard lights. But you can't see it. It's pitch black. But anyway, so in the wintertime I go down to the cities. It is hard to get back before it gets dark out. Anyway, I'm loving the spring feel. Oh, and it is going to be officially spring in 2 weeks, so that's cool. Actually, I think it's 2 weeks from tomorrow. 1, 2, 7, 14, something, 2 or 3 weeks. So, anyway, welcome. And if you're listening on the replay, thanks for listening on the replay. Most of the views are on the replay. It's kind of late. It's 9 o'clock here in Central Time. Probably 11 Eastern. Would be maybe 7 on the West Coast, something like that. But anyway, appreciate the people who watch on the replay just as much as the people who watch tonight. So anyway, so let's do this. Let's get into the 12. I titled it. I didn't want to say the biggest dick moves in the title. That's actually the article. But in the title, I just put 12 worst stories in the Old Testament with Jesus doing a face palm. He's like, oh, Dad. All right. If that's what you want to believe. So anyway, here we go. And here we have an article from gizmodo.com/gods. 12 biggest dick moves in the Old Testament. And we're going to go over these stories that are not so flattering to God. But somehow people think it makes them look good. You know, I had a meme up here, and I forgot what it was. I should have left it up. Took them all down. It was something like, I don't even know. Something that makes, it's like in the New Testament when good is evil and evil's called good and good is called evil. There's something like that in the Old Testament. I can't remember what it was, but it's kind of what we got going on here. I know people think God is good when He does these stories, but think about it when we go over these stories. So we're going to go over this 12 stories. Um, so welcome. I should probably let my cat in. He's out at the door. He's been getting in fights. I didn't want to let him out. I left him in for about a day, and he just went crazy. And I finally let him back out. But yeah, he's been getting in fights, getting big chunks of fur missing out of his ear, out of his side of his head, out of his arm. Like somebody took a shaver to him. I mean, just bite marks all over. Just unbelievable. Anyway, thinking about getting him neutered. And I did check to see how much it would spay that cat out there. There's a female. We've got strays out there, and there's a female that's having babies, and I checked. It was to bring her in. It used to be if you had assistance with spaying in your county, like your county. Sometimes if you have low enough income, then we'll assist you with it. And it used to be $40. 40. It used to be like 35 for the boys and 40 for the girls. It's been a few years. I checked now, and guess what it is now? $120. 120, and then the girls are 140. And anyway, I'm like, whoa, that's even within the program. If you got it, that's even with the discount, it's still got to pay that. So anyway, but the wild ones, the wild cats, the stray cats, they got a routine for that. So I would have to like trap the thing in a live trap. And there's a lot of wild cats, so I got to get the right one. And that's going to be hard to get the exact right cat. And then once it's in the trap, then I bring it there, and it's $120 for that one too. And what they do, once they put the cat to sleep, what they do, while it's under and they're doing the surgery, they clip the cat's ear so they know that wild cat has been neutered or spayed. You know what I mean? It's already been, it's had the surgery. So anyway, and then I have to agree to take care of the cat for, I don't know, 24 hours in the cage or something. Which I don't know how, man. These things are wild. I mean wild. You can't go near them or anything. So I don't know. What do I want? Wild animal in a cage? Kind of, Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be probably doing in the future. Getting my cat neutered and that wild one of the wild ones, the mom that's out there having babies. So anyway. Not looking forward to that. It doesn't sound very fun. And then when you bring in a stray cat, like a wild cat, a feral cat, it has to be like healthy looking. It can't be all like on its deathbed. And those cats are all healthy out there, that's for sure. Anyway, so, well, hey Grace, welcome back. Is Grace back in town? I felt somebody waving at me this afternoon. Was that you? Welcome back. I hope you had a nice trip. Hope all is well. I hope everyone had a nice weekend. I did. It can't be any nicer. It was a little chilly today, but still we're way ahead of the game. So anyway, good to see you, Grace. I hope you had a nice visit and all is well. I'll get my dog settled in here. All right. Alright, so. Yeah, I checked into getting those cats out there fixed, neutered, spayed, whatever. And, man, that's what it's gonna be, so. How about trapping a wild animal and putting it in my car. I don't know about that. Anyway. So, I will read this article here. We're going to start God's 12 biggest dick moves in the Old Testament. Published by Rob Bricken. Actually, I will copy and paste a link to this in the chat. If anybody wants a copy. Yeah, Fixing the Strays. Yeah, I just checked into it. It's $120. It used to be $40. And it went from $40. Now it's $120. Somebody in Florida, they were spaying their wild cats. Their stray cats around there. And yeah, he said it jumped up, and boy, did it. Yeah, it used to be $40. Now it's $120. Tripled. So anyway, that's with the discount. Have you checked the Humane Society prices? No. No, but that's through the Spay and Neuter program. Spay Neuter Assistance Program. Every county has one. And usually my income's so low I qualify, so. But usually it was always 40. I haven't had any animals spayed or neutered for years. Last one was Sprout, and we did that because his things didn't come out. They were stuck up inside of him. Anyway, it was not good. His sacs were stuck up inside him, and they were blowing up, and it was a kind of emergency surgery. Don't blame you. I would not take them to Humane Society and stuff. Yeah, I don't know about Humane Society. There are another ones. I used to get dogs and cats. I used to get pets at the Humane Society. Some of the ones I had, even growing up. It used to be, there'd be like $25 or something, but man, they went like $600-800 now, $500. Even for an old dog, they want like, $400. Dang. It's not like a cheap place to go. And then there's strings tied. You gotta get the dog fixed or, neutered, spayed within a certain time limit and blah, blah, blah. And it's gotta be have all the shots and all that stuff. If I ever got a dog from Humane Society, I'll tell you what I would do. I would go in there, and I would ask for the dog that's been there the longest, the one that's nobody wants, and I'd try to get that one to take that one home. $90 for kittens, little kitten. Really? $90? Huh. Yeah, I used to sell the kittens for like $20 a piece. But it was really sad because sometimes I'd see somebody that I don't think is going to take very good care of the cat. Anyway, I didn't like that. Yeah. Anyway. Kind of miss having the kittens around. Can't go near those wild ones. I tried. She wasn't having it. So, now we're going to go over some stories in the Bible that weren't really the nicest thing that God did. So yeah, it is, it's got more expensive. These people get the pets for other purses. No good. I know. Yeah, I know. Especially around Halloween time, you know what I'm saying? And certain solstices and equinoxes or whatever. You guys. I should do a whole stream about this. But did you see all the stuff that's going on about this eclipse? Oh my goodness, you guys. The government is planning all kinds of things with this eclipse. Do you know that there's many schools that are closing during the eclipse? Oh, that's terrible. So on the April, what is it, April 4th or what? I don't know when it was. And they're pushing the fear. So there's a lot of, like, especially if you're in the path. If you're in the path of the eclipse, they're like closing schools down. And there's a list you can go to. And then I forgot. There was a whole bunch of things that they're doing. But anyway, and of course it's a big doomsday for the idiots, the end time idiots that want to make everything into the, Armageddon and the last day on earth. Yes, we got to be careful. What else? I guess. See what he said. What are you eating? Oh. Okay, never mind. It's dog food. Yeah, pushing fear out of this. Oh, it means America's gonna be finished. The big X. Well, okay. Why don't you give us all your stuff? You know what I mean? Since you're so sure it's gonna be finished, why don't you hand over all your stuff to us? And we'll look really stupid when it happens. You know what I mean? All right. Before Jesus arrived and his divine father chilled out, the Old Testament God was ironically kind of a hellraiser. He was not a nice guy. He really liked killing people. And he may have actually been insane if his willingness to randomly murder devout worshippers like Moses was any indication. Here are the 12 craziest, most awful things God did in the Old Testament back before that whacked out hippie Jesus softened him up. There's more than these 12, that's for sure. That's for darn sure. And by the way, so yes, the Israelites were actually Canaanites, right? They're originally Canaanites who worshipped a god of war, not just a vicious killer god who's wicked and jealous and everything else. And that is Yahweh. And this is the God that people in the Old Testament, people worship. God of war, God of killing. Anyway. So he's got no problem killing you. And he'll just say you had it coming. Number one, sending bears to murder children. Now, most people know this story. About the bald guy. So a guy named Eliseus was traveling to Bethel when a bunch of kids popped up and made fun of him for being bald. That had to suck. And you can't blame Eliseus for being pissed and cursing them to God. But God had Eliseus's back, by which I mean he sent 2 bears to maul 42 of these kids to death for making fun of a bald dude. I have to think Eliseus was looking for something along the lines of a spanking, or maybe the poetic justice of having kids go bald. But nope, God went straight for the bear murder. But on the plus side, that pile of 40 plus children's corpses never made fun of nobody again. Never made fun of anybody again. And by the way, this is in Kings 2, 23 and 24. So yes, that was the bear murder, mauling how many kids? 40 plus. 42. 42 kids, mauled to death. Grace's busy hands. Next, number 2. We all know this story. And this story is turning Lot's wife to salt. He turned her into a salt shaker. Most folks, life size actually, most folks know about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, 2 cities of sin. God decided to kill everyone instead of, making them not full of sin. This was a town that when 2 angels were staying at Lot's place, gathered en masse and asked if they could rape them. I repeat, they wanted to rape angels. So they kind of had their destruction coming. Lot and his family were sent from the city before things went down. And Lot's wife looked back, and God turned her into a pillar of salt. It's generally understood that Lot's wife was looking back in a wistful kind of way at her angel-raping hometown. But the fact is, there's nothing in the Bible to suggest this, nor was Lot's family warned about looking back. Well, actually, they did say don't look back. But they didn't say you'd turn into a pillar of salt or anything bad would happen. Maybe Lot's wife wanted to see Sodom and Gomorrah get what was coming to it. Maybe she was thinking wistfully of the things that she had to leave behind. Maybe she wondered if she left the oven on. We'll never know, because God turned her into a seasoning for breaking a rule she didn't know existed. And that story is in Genesis 19:26, where she turned back. And then, oddly enough, the 2 daughters get the daddy drunk and have sex with them and have babies, where you have allegedly the tribe of Moab. Remember that military had a bomb called Mother of All Bombs? It was M-O-A-B, Moab. Just like Moab. All right. Number 3. Story number 3. Hating ugly people. In what should be good news for the intolerant... this thing is just doing whatever it wants. In what should be good news for tolerant religion conservatives, God really does hate people who are different from the norm. Of course, God isn't as worried about skin color or sexual orientation as he is about whether you're ugly or not. Because if you're ugly, you can just go worship some other god, okay? Even though God will punish you if you do, and also if they don't exist. Here's the people God does not want coming into his churches. People with blemishes. True that. If you have a blemish, you can't go into the church, the temple over there. Blind people. Yep, if you're blind, you can't go there. This is true. These are the people who are not allowed in God's church over in the temples. People with blemishes. Blind people. Lame people. Handicapped, crippled. Those with flat noses. Dwarfs, people with scurry, people with bad eyes. So you gotta hide your cheaters, hide your glasses before you go in there. People with bad skin, and those that hate their stones broken. I'm sorry, and those that had their stones broken, which, by the way, means their testicles are crushed. So if you have crushed testicles, you also cannot go into the temple. Those are broken stones, by the way. Given that God is technically responsible for giving people all these afflictions in the first place, this is an enormous dick move. And that's in Leviticus 21, 17 to 24. And that is a dick move because think about it. He gives you a rash and all these boils and stuff. And then you go to the temple to try to pray and give them offering and stuff, and they say you can't come in because you got all those boils and rashes. God gave these boils and rashes to me. Oh, you're screwed. Right, number 4, trying to kill Moses. Well, he did eventually kill Moses. And it's just so shady about the body disappearing. Oh, God buried it. Anyway, I think there's more to the story, the end of Moses than we're being told. Anyway, trying to kill Moses. It's like the body of Hitler. Like the Hitler body. His body disappears, but we're supposed to believe that he took his own life. Even though there's no body, nobody knows where he is. Anyway, same thing. In terms of... Now, remember, Moses didn't take his life, but God pretty much put him down instead of going into the promised land. Because he made a little mistake. After 60 years of leading millions of people through amazing miracles and everything, makes one mistake and you're out. So, trying to kill Moses, number 4. In terms of people who God likes, you'd think Moses would be high up on the list, right? I mean, God appointed him to lead the Jews out of Egypt, parted the Red Sea for him, and even picked him to receive the 10 Commandments, right? Yet this didn't stop God from trying to kill Moses when he ran into him at a lodging place. There's literally no explanation given in the Bible for God's decision to murder one of his chief supporters. The line is, quote, "At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. The only sensible explanation for this is that God was drunk out of his mind and looking for a bar fight. And you better hope that's correct, because the alternative is that God's a psychopath. How was God stopped from murdering his number 1 fan? But Moses' wife Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it. So the Lord left him alone. Either the sight of a very unexpected circumcision sobered God up quickly, or he didn't want to touch a dude who just touched a severed foreskin. Still, it's Moses' son who's the real victim here. Yeah. Exodus 4:24-26. Gizmodo newsletter. 5. Committing so much genocide. Oh, yeah. You think Hitler was bad? God has killed so many people, you guys. Okay, I mean, technically, God has killed everyone if you subscribe to the Judeo-Christian thought. But I'm not talking about indirect methods. I'm talking about God murdering countless people in horrible ways simply because he's pissed off. God drowning every single person on the planet besides Noah and his family is pretty well known. But he also helped the Israelites murder everyone in Jericho, Heshbon, Bashan, and many more, usually killing women, children, and animals at the same time. Hell, God once helped some Israelites kill 500,000 other Israelites. God's crazy. That's a lot of killing, you guys. It's a lot of killing. Especially if this is supposed to be a father ordering the murder of one child to murder your other child. You imagine a father ordering one child to kill the other child? Or a bunch of your children to kill a bunch of your other children? My dad comes from a family, I think 12 kids, at least. I know he was the 12th child, so at least 12 kids. And can you imagine, like, the parents ordering 6 of the kids to kill the other 6 kids? You'd say, oh, how horrible monsters. No, God had 500,000, 500,000 Israelites kill other 500,000 Israelites. So no, my ancestors would never do something like that. My dad and his family would never do something like that. But God and his family, yeah, they don't. I can't even believe it, but yeah. I don't know, people just get numb to all the killing and the murder and just think, I must have had a reason. Really? The women and children, really? Couldn't just relocate them or whatever. I mean, you're God. You can do anything you want. Anyway, 6. Ordering his underlings to kill their own children. God is obviously good at big picture dickishness, but he also took the time to be a dick on a more personal level. Abraham was another devout man who God decided to F with, apparently because he knew he could. God ordered him to sacrifice his son. God was a fan of human sacrifice at the time, obviously. Because why? Because they didn't question, they knew exactly how to do it. Obviously, you know, Abraham and all the Israelites were familiar with human sacrifice because they knew how to do it and how God wanted it done. And God said human sacrifice, like your kid, and he's like, okay, I can do it. And he just starts the process. Like, wait, when he say, wait a minute, first of all, God, no. He pleaded for Sodom and Gomorrah for all those people, but didn't plead for his own son. Or even, anyway. So, we know Abraham loved his son, right? Or how come Abraham didn't say, hey, wait, you're the God that hates human sacrifice, right? No, he didn't say that. Why? Because obviously he didn't hate human sacrifice at the time. In fact, Abraham didn't even question it. Abraham didn't even say, well, wait, this is so weird because you're not usually like this. No, he didn't even question it. Didn't even question it. Question the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, but not the human sacrifice of a child. And the part of how they just kept calling him the firstborn, Isaac is firstborn, unreal. So Abraham, all right. God was a fan of human sacrifice at the time. We know Abraham loved his son, so he was probably kind of upset about this. But hey, but God's God, right? And that's how it always is. God's God, can't question him. So Abraham tricked his unsuspecting son. I'm sure that was good for the relationship the rest of their life. I'm sure he was very trusting of his father after that. So Abraham tricked his unsuspecting son up a mountain onto a sacrificial altar and prepared to murder him. This story actually has a happy ending. In that right before Abraham drove the knife into his son's throat, God yelled, "Psych," and told him it was only a test. And when Abraham received some blessings after that for being willing to kill his own child at God's whim, and all it took was the dread of being forced to kill his own child on behalf of his angry deity, presumably a shit ton of awkward family dinners for the rest of his life. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Imagine that, yeah. Daddy brought you up to kill you, and he was going to. God had to stop him. Abraham got off better than Jephthah, who had to follow through with murdering his daughter, burning her alive specifically. We just talked about that yesterday, in order to get on God's good side before battling the Amorites. That's in Genesis 22, 1 through 12. Yeah, he's like, hey, if Jephthah is like, hey, God, if we win this battle, I will burn the first person that comes out of the house when we come back, something like that. Then it ends up to be the daughter. And the part a lot of people don't even get into it is the part, and then they say, okay, then the dad, killed the daughter. No, actually, the daughter had, I think it was like a month or a couple weeks, or the daughter had a certain amount of time to go out in the wilderness and ponder the fact that she'll never have man's children. And that's why she's upset she's going to die. and she's got to go get right with that or something. Anyway, gives her a little bit of time, and then she comes back and then he kills her. Like, really, these stories really supposed to help anybody? How do these stories help anybody? Killing Egyptian babies. Let's be completely upfront. The Egyptians and the Jews did not get along. According to the Bible, the Egyptians enslaved the Jews, but the Jews had God on their side. If you kind of ignore God letting his people be enslaved in the first place. Again, problem, reaction, solution. God gets you in a big jam in the Bible. This is what happens. God puts these people in a big jam, like gets them into slavery, and then he comes in and like the hero and gets you out. And reminds you that he got you out of slavery pretty much as many times as he can in the Bible. You're constantly reminded that. You know, it's like slashing somebody's tires and then bringing them to Walmart to get new tires. You know what I mean? Like a hero. All right. Well, and the same thing is bringing them out in the desert and have them wander aimlessly in circles for 40 years, starving and thirsty and starving. And then when they're begging for food, God comes in like the hero and gives them a little bit of manna, which like gives them enough to survive, like those nasty military rations. Like, tastes like animal fat wax, but it will like you'll survive. You won't die, but it's not good. Anyway, and that's what really God did. Wandered around for 40 years, and then when they're begging for food and water, God comes in like the hero when he's the one that put him there in the first place, in that position. And then comes along and wants to be the hero. Anyway, let's be completely upfront. The Egyptians and the Jews did not get along. According to the Bible, the Egyptians enslaved the Jews, but the Jews had God on their side. If you kind of ignore God letting his people to be enslaved in the first place, rather getting his worshipers the hell out of there, God wanted to show those damn Egyptians what for. Releasing 10 plagues that begin with turning the river Nile into pure blood, and ending with the slaughter of the firstborn of every single Egyptian man and animal. Now, I suppose it's possible that for some, or even most of these firstborn were adults who were shitty to the Israelites. But some of them had to be babies who didn't even have the time to persecute the Jews yet. And what the hell did the animals do to the Jews to get caught up in this nightmare? Were the proto-Nazi cows running around who needed to be punished for their transgressions against the chosen people? And you realize that there were cats in Egypt, right? Cats had firstborn. So God killed kittens. Yes, the firstborn of every animal, which includes kittens and puppies. And that's in Numbers 14 or 16, 41 to 49. So to show his power, he killed all the babies and the puppies and the kittens. 8. Killing a dude for not making more babies. And we all know this story. Now people mistake this for a warning to not pleasure yourself. For man, hold on a second. My mouse is froze up. Let me get this thing. Wait till it loads up. It's spinning right now. Alright. Man, my mouse ain't moving. Killing a dude for not making more babies. And this is so gross to begin with. How God made a rule that so if your brother dies without having children with his wife or his woman that he purchased, it's the brother's job to go over there and get her pregnant so she can have a baby on her own and now that baby will be in the bloodline and in the inheritance of that tribe. So she's, whether she wants to or not, the brother-in-law, your dead husband's brothers are going to come, one of them's going to come and try to get you pregnant. That's just gross. Anyway, so you're a dude named Onan, and you have a brother named God does not care for and kills him. Standard God operating procedure. Then things get weird. Onan's dad orders Onan to have sex with Ur's wife, which is actually in the laws, the priestly and the Levitican laws and all that, not marry. So, yes, you're supposed to get her pregnant. You don't have to buy her, purchase her, own her, marry her, but just get her pregnant. So, Onan's dad, which is Judah, if I remember right, Judah, right? Onan, he orders Onan to have sex with his wife. Not marry, by the way, just have sex with her. His job is to get her pregnant. This is actually pretty awkward for Onan, sleeping with his sister-in-law, but rather than give her any more kids, and she had 2 with already. Well, see, that don't make any sense. If she already had 2 children with then I don't see why he's got to have more. So instead of having 2 or any more kids, he pulls out. God is so infuriated that Onan did not F his sister-in-law to completion that he kills him too. Now, you could argue that God demands intercourse to be used specifically for procreation, but given how much God loves killing babies and children, I don't think his motives are exceptionally pure. That's Genesis 38, 1-10. And in that story, by the way, the whole reason Onan God kills him for spilling the seed, for spilling the seed on the ground, is because in the laws of Moses, and that is weird because I am 99% sure that law is only if the man did not have children then. But if the man already had 2 children, unless maybe one wasn't a son, I'm not really sure. But anyway, it was because he was breaking the law about getting her pregnant. All right, number 9. Helping Samson murder people to pay off a bet. Actually, there's more than that with Samson. More evidence that God is possibly a low-level mobster. When his pal Samson got married, he was given 30 friends. Remember, they gave him 30 friends? And he posed them a completely insane riddle. Then he made a bet that if they could solve it in a week, Samson would give them all new clothes. But if they could not, they would give Samson 30 pairs of new clothes. Well, Samson's wife wheedled the answer out of him and then told these dudes, at which point an angry Samson had to pay up. And here's where God comes in, literally into Samson, giving him the power to murder 30 random people for their clothes. Only a true friend would help you commit mass murder to settle a completely stupid bet. That's in Judges 14, 1-19. And by the way, then God also helped Samson do the murder-suicide when he took down the building of the in Gaza. At the church in Gaza, it was a temple to Dagon, which is today's Catholic church. And God gave him the strength to take himself out with everybody in there. So it was like a suicide bomber. And God helped him. All right, 10. Trying to wrestle a guy, cheating and still losing. And here's more evidence that God is a drunk maniac. Jacob was traveling with his 2 wives and his 11 kids and all his earthly possessions and had sent them across the river. At that moment, a guy essentially leapt out of the bushes and started wrestling. It's God. They wrestled all night, and God cannot beat Jacob. So he uses God powers to magic God powers to wrench Jacob's hip out of its socket. But Jacob still won't let him out of the headlock until God blesses him, because Jacob has figured out who this bizarre man is. God blesses him and wanders off, presumably to get into a bar fight somewhere else. And this is in Genesis 32, 22 to 31. Number 11. Killing people for complaining about God killing them. To be fair, after God freed the Israelites from Egyptian slavery, they were extraordinarily bitchy about not instantly being in the land of milk and honey. It got so bad that God was ready to kill all of them and let Moses start the Jews over, although Moses managed to talk him out of it. But one of their more sensible complaints was that Moses was lording himself over the rest of them, which is probably true, seeing as God has given him the 10 Commandments and all that. So Moses summoned the 3 tribal elders who had made the complaint to a Monday morning staff meeting. But 2 of them didn't come. Neither Moses nor God cared for that, and God opened up the grounds beneath the people's tents, killing both tribes. God also set fire to 250 Israelite princes who'd made up the same complaint. Having been well admonished that Moses was putting himself above the rest of the people with God's permission, a number of surviving Israelites were kind of pissed that Moses and God had killed so many of their fellow people to prove a point. God responded by killing another 14,700 of them with a plague. The complaints stopped. The complaint department all of a sudden was very quiet. Numbers 16, 1 to 49. We know a couple who, when she discovered he was getting busy with another woman, she stabbed him in the groin with one of those big barbecue forks. I guess, can you guess his name? Poor little Richard. Yeah. Yeah. Yikes. That's gotta hurt. No, my mouse ain't working. Here's 12. There's the last one if it will scroll. It's not really. It's still up there spinning. Still spinning a death circle up there. All right. So number 12, this is the last one. Everything he did to Job. Oh yes, to Job. But to what? Because he's playing a little game with the devil. He's not the devil. It was Satan, his one of his co-workers. Subordinates, of course. All right. Oh, Job. Other than a shit ton of oh, Job, other than a shit ton of babies, no one had it worse in the Bible than Job, who was a righteous, good-hearted man who believed in God with every fiber of his being. And how did he get rewarded? How did he get rewarded for being so good-hearted and loving God so much? Well, you know how he got rewarded. God let the devil beat him around like a cat and a mouse. All right. Which is when God decided, okay, so no one had it worse in the Bible than Job, who was a righteous, good-hearted man who believed in God with every fiber of his being, which is when God decides to see how miserable he can make this dude before he gets upset. Note, this is a result of a bet between God and Satan. Also note, the bet is God's idea. He's literally just hanging out with Satan, which is kind of weird when you think about it. When he's starting to bragging about how awesome Job is, Satan points out that Job's pretty blessed. He's rich, he's got a lot of kids, etc. And he probably wouldn't be quite so thrilled with God if he didn't have that stuff. God downs his bourbon, presumably, and tells Satan he can F with Job all he wants. Satan does. And then that's when Satan said, "Hold my beer." So Satan does. He kills all of Job's children and animals, burns down his house, destroys his wealth, and then covers him in boils. Job doesn't curse God, but he does wish he had never been born, literally, and begs God to kill him, but no dice. This lasts a long time until finally Job wonders why a just God would just be so shitty. And this is when God pops up and basically tells him, "Shut up. I don't have to explain anything to you." That's exactly how it went down. Finally done something wrong, pleads for mercy. Job, having finally done something wrong, because he complained, pleads for mercy, and God eventually gives him back animals and children, new ones, because the old ones are still dead because of a bet that God made with Satan for kicks. Job 1. So, yeah. Do we want to look at the comments? I think so. I like comments. Get over here. My thing ain't moving. Cabela's ad or whatever thing is screwing everything up. Alright. Here, I want to see 1,891 comments. That's a lot of comments. Anyway. He's condemned to hell now? Crazy. Well, hey, Lucian Maximus. How you doing tonight? 444 360 equals 1.23. I'll take your word for that. I'll take your word. Let me see if we got comments here for this. Alright. I don't know. I don't see no comments. I see this thing is just going insane. Alright. So anyway, those were 12 biggest dick moves in the Bible. Old Testament. I'm going to see if I can get this to the top. Oh, yeah. Alright, there it is. Article is called God's 12 Biggest Dick Moves in the Old Testament. It's got a lot more in the New Testament. Actually, it's got more in the Old Testament, too. That's not all of them. Definitely not all of them. Anyway, good evening, Lucian. I hope you had a nice Monday. Yeah. So, yes, are you talking about Satan? Yeah, so after God uses him to destroy Job's life, then he throws Satan out? Is that how it went down? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Anyway, look at us at 59 minutes and 29 seconds. Any hoosers. I'm going to wrap it up. Then I'm going to get off of here. Got more tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Yeah. Are you going to address the New Testament too? I don't know if I have art. I have another one. I have another article to go over. I don't know if it's specifically all New Testament. It's a good thought, though. Lucius says, thanks. It's sort of a theory of everything. Monad formula. M-O-N-A-D formula. Cool. Interesting. What is that, 117 or 11.7? It's 117.9. All right, cool. I will take your word. Anything else? I don't know anything else. I don't know. I'm just going to wrap this up and get off of here and do some stuff. Finish my chores. And that's about it. Working on a video for my other channel. I think I'm going to be putting it out tonight. And the reason I'm saying that is so I push myself in order to put it out tonight. That way maybe I'll do it. So yes, I'm going to work on something else when I get off of here. Sort of a theory. All right, cool. All right, well, I want to say good night. Thanks for coming in to Grace, coming into the chat. And also Lucian, good to see you tonight. Thanks for sharing your theory with us. And anybody else that came in and listened, thanks for coming in. And if you're listening on the replay, thanks for listening on the replay. Gave me a thumbs up. Thanks for the thumbs up. Thanks for everything, guys. I appreciate you being here and listening and joining, either now or later. You're finishing a project too? Yeah, I think it's time. Yeah. I'm working on a couple, but I think I'm going to finish one tonight. Anyway, love, prayers, blessings to you too, Grace. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great evening. You too, Lucian. Have an awesome evening. And everybody have a great day tomorrow. Enjoy your Tuesday. Yes, it is time, Grace. I think it is time. It's time for the old 1-2. All right. Good night, everybody. Love, peace, blessings to you all. Shalom, peace, rock on, peace out, and all that